Welcome back to Toni Farmer's Garden, the podcast. Today is the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, and there's a really good chance that you are headed someplace for Thanksgiving dinner and listening to this podcast in the car. And maybe, if you're like many people, you're dreading some conversations that are going to happen around the Thanksgiving table, especially if you're on opposite sides of the political aisle, or you just have different feelings about what's going on in the world than some of the people that are going to be sitting there. So we're going to call this Answering Uncle Norm's Questions, because everyone's got an Uncle Norm, no offense to anyone named Norm, who comes to the table with kind of some inflammatory statements or things that aren't true or statements that really don't hold water. And instead of getting into an argument, let's talk about ways to answer those questions that bring the temperature down and everyone gets a little bit more educated about issues like climate change and agriculture. So that's what we're going to do today. Let's talk about it. All right, so Klein, my podcast engineer and producer, is going to play the part of Uncle Norm at the dinner table today and ask some of these questions.
I'm not I don't believe all of this stuff that I'm about to say. I just want that to be very clear.
Got it. We understand that.
This is very stressful for me. And putting together this research was even more stressful for me.
But some of the things we talked about this before we started filming, that some of these you didn't know the answer to.
Correct.
And you want to.
Correct.
So this is beneficial even if you're going to the dinner table for Thanksgiving and everyone kind of believes the same things, but you couldn't explain why.
Yes.
Okay. So
that's the thing.
We'll do that
which
too.
Is that I just believe it because scientists say it, and I don't feel that I need to dig into the science.
Oh, I think you do.
But not everyone agrees. Okay, so topic number 1 is going to be climate change.
Mm-hmm. Still lots of disagreement over that in the community.
Crazy. When you say community, what do you mean?
I mean, the community at large, I believe the last stat I checked was 77% of the American population firmly believes that climate change is man-made and we need to do something about it. Yes. But that leaves 23% that are still, it's not real, it's a hoax.
Norm from Cheers. That's exactly
what
I
we're
thought
picturing.
when you said that. I was like, Norm! Norm says temperatures have risen before. Mm-hmm. Or on my way here, I was bundled up and it's been 30 degrees. I guess that global warming's really kicking in with that 30-degree weather. How do I respond to that?
So that is a basic environmental science question from, 9th grade, the difference between weather and climate. Weather is a daily occurrence and it changes. We talk about, is it going to rain tomorrow, next week? We also talk about what are the habits of our climate, like what kind of rainfall do we expect in this climate? That's climate. Right. Whether or not it rains today or not is weather. So when we track weather short term, we're going to see cold temps in areas that should have cold winters and warm summers. But climate is looking out at long term. What are we seeing? And we are seeing the planet is warming.
Why do I feel like the person I'm talking to about this isn't going to fully grasp that?
Well, let's go back to the comment you made, doesn't the planet naturally cycle through warm and cold? We have ice ages and then we have high temperatures. Yeah. And you probably learned it. If I look at public school curriculum in the U.S., it's around about 7th or 8th grade, which is a hilarious time to tell you this incredibly important thing about your planet. Yeah. Because you're more concerned about, do I look cool in this outfit?
Yes. And the answer is probably no.
And am I going to get asked to the dance, which is probably also no.
Yep.
And so that information passes pretty quickly over your head.
That makes sense.
So here's what you need to know. That is accurate. The planet has been shifting over hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years through cycles of very cold temperatures and very hot. We're going to put up a graphic here for those of you who are watching this podcast. Since the Industrial Revolution, we are about at the point where we should be headed into a cold cycle. But the Industrial Revolution is when we started drilling for oil, burning fossil fuels to run our industry, and the spike is off the charts. The cycle of up and down was interrupted around about the end of the 1900s, and we have seen concentrations of CO2 in the atmosphere and other greenhouse gases in correlation with rising temperatures off the charts since then. Wow. And if you just look at the one graph, it's hard to argue with.
Yeah. So I should pull out a graph. And I mean that. I'm dead serious.
No, have it on your phone.
I was going to say we have iPhones.
But I encourage people always, don't thrust your phone and don't handle these conversations as a gotcha moment. Handle them as, hey, what do you think about this? And most people, just like my average listener hasn't dug deep. The people that you're arguing with haven't dug deep either.
Right.
And a little bit of information is a powerful tool. And a graphic is better than an article.
Yes.
You just take a glance. You'd have to ask the person looking at this graph, give me an alternate explanation
Right.
for why CO2 and temperatures have risen so drastically.
Right.
And then you can Google, does burning fossil fuels release carbon dioxide into the atmosphere? And they can Google it on any search engine they want, and the information will be the same. The answer is yes, this is undisputed science.
Then what about people when you're having that conversation about climate change, and then they say, oh, well, that doesn't affect me, or I don't have to worry about that. That's hundreds of years away. I definitely used to say that to comfort myself because I would get so freaked out about climate change and all that stuff.
It's a head in the sand, like I described earlier. It's far off in the distance, and I can't fix it.
Yeah.
Those two things for human psychology equal, I look away.
Yeah.
So that's normal, and most people do that. I don't have that luxury because I work in this field.
Well, I was going to say, I definitely don't look away anymore. I don't think it's as easy to be like, this is hundreds of years in the future. So tell me why it's not hundreds of years in the future.
Well, we already know that it's not. So we're tracking temperatures, and the number was 2 degrees Celsius. If the planet average temperatures raise 2 degrees Celsius, we will start to see climate crisis. And that would look like significant melting of glaciers, which raises sea level temperature. Manhattan would be underwater, right? Many of our island nations underwater. We're already tracking those levels. Like, you don't see them because you're standing on the beach and you might go, well, it's high tide. Or the human being can't take in inches of water looking at a body of water. But those who track it are incredibly concerned. Now we are already tracking, there are some areas of the world where we are tracking more than 2 degrees global temperature increase. Sub-Saharan Africa will become uninhabitable by 2050. It's not that far away. Yes. And also population boom there. So I tell people all the time, if you think that immigration is an issue now, just wait. When people they literally cannot stay. So interestingly, the human body can take 120 degrees if you are literally guzzling water. Your output of sweat is equal at that point. So you'd have to drink constantly to stay alive, and 1 degree higher than that would mean you would perspire more than you could consume in water, and you would die. So we need to, so that's why those areas will become uninhabitable. Information about how it will affect our food system has been around for just as long as, it's been around longer than me, but I've been reading it seriously for 8 years. And we know that the UN considers soil erosion to be a crisis. We consider climate to be a crisis. We consider temperature, storms, hail, flooding, all are threatening our food system. And so we're already seeing that right now. And you don't have to go on news. So your conservative friends don't have to go on Fox News to find that, and your liberal friends don't have to go on regular media. Here's where I would go. Go to agriculture sites and financial sites.
Oh, yeah.
Because the financial world does not care about you. They do not care about climate change.
No.
They care about how it will affect
their bottom line.
Yeah. And it is.
Yeah.
And also insurance companies know this.
Yes.
So this is why in California and Florida you can't insure a house easily.
Yeah.
You can't get storm insurance any longer.
No.
Because the insurance companies did the math and they're like, climate change is getting worse and worse and worse. We're not going to be able to pay for the giant storms that are coming this way.
Right.
We'll insure you if your dishwasher floods the floor, or if there's a bird builds a hole in your nest. But a hurricane, you're out of luck.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So I guess my point in all that is organizations that don't have to care about climate change are caring about climate change.
Right. That's the sign.
That is.
Can you, for Norm, give me...
Klein is so concerned that you're going to think she's Norm. We know you're not Norm, Klein. I think we know.
I feel bad because every time I say it, I really do imagine the actor in Cheers, and I'm sure he's fine.
He's got a beer. He's fine.
Yeah, exactly. For Norm, can you give me 2 or 3 examples from like top to bottom where it's like there's a drought in...
Sure.
In wherever, and so because of that, that then means that you're paying more for
Absolutely.
this.
Red meat is 100%, well, 100%, that it is 100% the core issue. It's not the only issue. So everyone's focused on tariffs right now.
Right.
And tariffs are absolutely increasing the price of beef because we have a 50% on Brazil, a 10% on Argentina.
50% is crazy.
Well, there's some geopolitical conflict there, right? Yeah. So, and then we've got a parasite called the New Mexican screwworm that is over the border, and we import a lot of calves over the border, and if they're carriers, they will infect our population, so we can't have that. So we're not importing from there, and this is reducing the supply. But drought caused by climate change is the number one issue. So there is only a certain number of acres in the U.S. You can't raise cattle, ranch cattle, on just any acre. You know, there are mountainous areas. There are areas where it's just not. There's areas where it's too cold or the weather is too bad, and cows need shelter in extreme heat and extreme cold.
Right.
So we've got certain acreage where we can raise them, and if we don't have water to feed them, the average cow from baby to full size, anywhere from 3 to I think it's 180 gallons a day. I'd have to go back and check those numbers, but if you're a cattle rancher, a lot of them have been throwing in the towel because they can't afford the structures to protect the cattle, but more importantly, they can't find the water to feed the cattle to keep them alive. So many of them are just throwing in the towel.
Because of the drought.
Because of drought. And so they end up, it decreases the number of cattle and the number of cattle ranchers. We are at about a 75-year low in the United States for heads of cattle in the U.S. That is a widely accepted stat in cattle ranching. And so when supply is low and demand is so high, we consume more beef per capita than any other country. We are tied probably with Australia and Brazil, which are heavy meat-eating countries. In terms of actual tonnage and dollar, we exceed every other country because our population is so large. We love beef. We are not slowing down.
Right.
We eat more and more of it. You go to a restaurant now and they'll offer you a hamburger, and do you want 2 patties on there instead of 1, right?
That's like the baseline is 2 patties. And I'm just like, all right, let's chill.
And 1 serving of beef was probably half of a patty to begin with. It's about 6 ounces, right? So you get, 2 8-ounce patties, you're getting a lot more. Yeah. So my point is this now becomes simple economics.
Right.
Supply is low. Demand is high, price goes up. So even if the tariffs end, and they will at some point, they will settle, and Mexican screwworm has popped up since the 1960s.
Oh, okay.
And that will get under control again.
Right.
The issue with drought and climate is not going away.
Okay.
It is not going away.
So
it will get worse.
Okay. So 2 things. Number 1, I have stats, but what's more reputable, North Carolina State University or Beef Magazine?
I trust University Extension's a great deal, but Beef Magazine is probably a good resource.
Really?
Well. Yeah. Those are industry insiders.
I'm obsessed with that.
Yeah.
I'm going to Beef Magazine.
Let's go to Beef Magazine. This will, for listeners here, I need you to know there is a magazine, a trade magazine for everything.
I love it so much.
I read milk magazines. I read cheese magazines. There's a trade magazine. I read farm equipment.
Oh, that's crazy. Okay, so Beef Magazine says that a general guideline is that lactating cows need 2 gallons of water per 100 pounds of body weight per day.
Yeah, so that's dairy cattle, though. That's different.
Right. Bulls and dry cows need 1 to 1.5 gallons of water per 100 pounds.
Okay.
According to 2016.
Yeah, that's old data, and I don't think that's accurate.
Great.
I think they're talking about... Yeah. Okay.
Spring calving cows?
Yeah.
Will need...
Yeah. See, so this is... You've gone down further in the article and you're getting more specific. So spring calving cows, so someone's having a baby, 20 to 24 gallons of water per day for themselves, and another 5 to 10 for their calf. Yeah, 2 gallons of water per 100 pounds of body weight. So 25 to 30 gallons of water per day. And now you have 1,000 head of cattle. That's a lot of water. And you're just one rancher.
Yeah. That stat was the North Carolina. Wait, what is NC State? Is that North Carolina?
Yeah. So that's every state in the United States has a agricultural extension.
Oh, okay. Got it.
So in Pennsylvania, it would be Penn State.
Yeah.
In New Jersey, it would be Rutgers.
Got it. I'm trying to think if they would say anything back to that, to what all you just said.
But it's not just affecting U.S. food prices is something that they should know, and this would be another thing you could look up on any search engine, is global food inflation or global prices high, not just the U.S.
Yeah.
We only think about ourselves and our local grocery store.
Of course.
Because this is climate change.
Yeah.
It's global. So if you look at what's happening in the UK, or you look what's happening in China or other locations, South America, food prices are high everywhere for the same reason. So here's a good example. Peru experienced massive drought last year. They provide about a third of the world's blueberries. Right. Blueberry prices skyrocketed. Yeah. And then I love this story, Tale of Two Companies. So two companies you all know handled this differently. Chick-fil-A put a little sign up on all their when you drove through the drive-thru that said, "I'm sorry, we don't have," due to a spike in blueberry prices due to drought in Peru, we are not offering blueberry muffins. So they could have paid for the blueberry muffin, or for the blueberries for the muffins, and jacked the price up.
Yes.
But now you're blaming Chick-fil-A as the consumer. If you see the little sign, you don't. You're like, "Oh, poor Chick-fil-A couldn't get blueberries." Right?
They're the victim.
I'm not saying that was a good strategy.
I'm sure it worked for them.
And it was an honest strategy. Yes. And I think they're talking about discontinuing it because those of us in agriculture don't see a way forward with blueberries. You know, it's where we grow. They also grow in very specific climates. Yeah. They like sandy soil, acidic soil, and we may be losing the climate to grow them.
Okay. So the bottom line there that I can say to Norm is you're not going to be able to have blueberries anymore because of climate change.
Or they're going to be very expensive.
Okay, so so I guess because I do think that's also very important, especially when you're talking
coffee and
with
bananas
people who are
and
on
chocolate, all of these.
I'm sorry, chocolate, bananas, coffee, and blueberries,
and many others. But
and other things, but it's
because those four things require a very specific climate. Like coffee doesn't just require temperature; it requires altitude. And a certain kind of soil. And there's only a few places in the world. And then almost all of our chocolate comes from around the Ivory Coast in Africa. Yes. And we are losing that climate as well. Wait, let me finish the other company with the blueberries. The other company was Costco. So Costco is famous for their big trays of blueberry muffins, right? It was like a dozen in a tray. And a lot of people would buy them, take them into the office. Yeah. Or buy them for home or for, your mom drops off the blueberry muffins at your athletic event or whatever. Yes. So they couldn't get them either and keep their prices down, which is critical to Costco's whole...
they don't raise the price of their hot dogs.
Yes, that's their whole strategy is keeping these affordable, but they recognize this as well. So they did something I'm not happy with, but you need to watch what food companies are doing to get around this. Right. So they pulled the blueberry muffin, and they are reintroducing a blueberry cream cheese muffin. And it is a muffin with cream cheese with artificial blueberry flavoring and coloring in the cream cheese and swirled in. Now, I'm sure it's delicious. Right. But the only thing that was healthy for you in that blueberry muffin was the blueberries. Yeah. And now they've replaced it with a ultra-processed food to get around it. I'm not blaming Costco. No. Many companies are going to do this. I'm not blaming Chick-fil-A either. But you're watching businesses in real time respond to food shortages due to climate change.
Right. I think that's perfect because those are very tangible, easy, simple examples of remember when you would always go to Chick-fil-A and get blueberry muffins and then you saw the sign that was because of climate change. That's not just I think a lot of people on that side of things will say well, that's because of I think a go-to is always well, that's because of Biden and everything that he did. And it's
we like to just blame the previous administration. And as a centrist, I am a centrist. I have some conservative viewpoints and some liberal ones. And I spent a lot of time as a Republican. I will say that one of the things that really opened my eyes was working in an impoverished community. I spent almost 10 years volunteering and working for Urban Promise in Camden, which serves kids in a pretty poverty-stricken community, and really opened my eyes to... a lot of people, no matter how hard they try, cannot break out of poverty. Right. And so then what is our social responsibility? Once I understood that it wasn't just the way I was raised was it's just work ethic and you need to work harder and you need to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. And I met people who had no boots and no straps. And I watched them do everything they could within the system and they still couldn't get there. So that was the beginning of my journey to exploring how the liberal government works versus the conservative and finding what solves problems and what doesn't. So every administration is going to blame the one before. I say this all the time. I'm tired of placing blame, even where it is warranted. How do we move forward? Because people need to eat. They need health care and they need jobs and they need to work. Like we all need to work. It's a good thing. And that encompasses both liberal and conservative viewpoints there. And I think most people would agree with those statements, maybe just disagreeing on how we get there.
Speaking of, I feel like SNAP will probably be a pretty big topic.
It will be.
At the Thanksgiving table.
Ask me about SNAP.
For a number of reasons. I could see this going a lot of different ways, but I think at least the one that I've heard the most on, like, online, I always see, like, half the video and then someone stitches it and they're like, this isn't true. But I know a lot of people are just seeing that first video where they're saying, and I quote, this is not me, again, and I quote, all of these illegals are coming in and getting getting food for free and, like, going to the grocery store and buying just all of this junk food and crap and, like, feeding it to their kids. And there is so much to unpack there. So when you're sitting there and Norm is just, like, listing off all of these things about SNAP and the fraud and the illegal immigrants and all of this stuff, like, what is a kind of quick fact, anecdote, something that can at least start that, like, that stuff that you're being told is not true?
I like to give them things that they can look up on their own. Because they don't want to trust my sources necessarily, even though I use very middle of the road, boring, generic sources. I use USDA data and I use stuff that no one else wants to look at. I would say what state gets more SNAP benefits than any other?
Can I make a guess?
Sure.
Is it Arkansas?
It is not.
Oh, man.
They're up there. It's California.
Really?
California, and that is purely because they have such a large population. Guess who's number 2? Follow the...
Texas?
Texas is number 2. So I grew up... This is the new welfare queen argument. So So it used to be, when I grew up, it was the welfare queen. There's some inner city woman who's got 18 children, and she is getting SNAP to pay for all of her living expenses on your dime, which was never true. And now it's just shifted to illegal immigrants. So rural America benefits from SNAP benefits more than inner city, statistically, drastically more. And let me give you an example of how the cuts to SNAP, if the government had stayed frozen and SNAP benefits had stayed frozen, how it would help Walmart and hurt rural America. Walmart gets about 6% of its revenue from SNAP. Like, that already probably looks really high to you because they've got grocery stores. That would not have been true prior to them having grocery stores, right? Because it used to be Walmart didn't include a grocery store.
Oh my God, yeah.
Wow. But now that they do, and they sell a lot of groceries, and they are fixtures in rural communities where there's also probably a small grocery store chain. So in an area, we have a cabin in Virginia, and there is a giant Walmart, and there's a small grocery store chain. That small grocery store chain, this is going to be shocking, up to 40% of their revenue or more probably comes from SNAP. And most people don't realize how much of the budget in a depressed area or an area where a lot of people are already struggling, jobs are more scarce, there's big drug problems there, which then leads to issues where you're applying for unemployment and SNAP and you need government assistance. And then where are you going to go? You're not driving to Chicago or to cities or even to suburban areas. You're shopping at that little grocery store near you. Had that continued for many months, all of those little grocery store chains would have gone under, absolutely gone under, and Walmart would have been left standing because they could stomach paying for that because they're so enormous for probably a year or longer. and then they're the last man standing.
Right.
And SNAP benefits also create about $1.50, anywhere from $1.15 to $1.50 of in the economy.
Say that again.
So every dollar spent on SNAP by the federal government translates to $1.15 to $1.50 in economic growth.
$1.15.
Yes.
To $1.50.
Yes, thank you. $1.15, $1.50. Because think about that. Let's go back to the little rural grocery store. They're employing high school students and local people who have either a full-time job or probably a part-time job to make ends meet.
Yeah.
So that they didn't have to rely on SNAP.
Right.
Now they've been let go from their side hustle. They now fall below the poverty line and they're applying for SNAP. So this, in essence, increased the burden of people needing SNAP at a time when $186 billion has been cut. So we haven't felt that. That's 2027.
Oh, fun.
So right now we're still getting the same SNAP benefits we have when they are being paid out. Over the course of 2026, leading into 2027, what the federal government has done under the Big Beautiful Bill is transferred a great deal of that pressure to the states. They're saying, we don't want it to come out of federal dollars. States were sharing a little bit of it.
Right.
They're going to have to share more and more and more until they're sharing the brunt. And the states are all saying, we don't have that money.
Everything that you just said makes so much sense. And then Norm will be like, well, people just need to work. I work. I can afford food. And I feel like half the time Norm actually can barely afford food and is like one issue away from not being able to afford food.
Yeah.
But
the average American is a $500 crisis away from being in trouble.
Right.
The Norm question would be about working.
Yes.
Like, why don't these people get a job?
Right. So
why don't they?
Well, that gets into jobs not being available, right?
It doesn't, though.
It doesn't. Oh,
no.
okay, never mind.
I mean, it can eventually, but you have to be employed to get SNAP benefits. The average person does not understand. If you are unemployed, you get unemployment. If you are unemployed, you file for unemployment. If you are applying for SNAP, you have already established you have almost no income and you have another reason why you are working and cannot get the benefits you need. So that would be a single father or a single mother with 2 children where one job cannot make ends meet and they apply and qualify for SNAP because their 6-year-old and their 8-year-old are not going to get a job anytime soon.
I'm going to scream.
Or there is, it's a lot of elderly people.
Yes.
So they're over 65.
Right.
And they also have health conditions that keep them from going out and working a full-time job. They qualify for SNAP.
Right.
Or it is disabled. Yeah. You are handicapped to the point. You are blind, you are in a wheelchair, you are whatever, and you cannot find work. You can find some work, but not enough to pay your bills. You qualify for SNAP. Everybody else has to work.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah.
And then one of the things that bothers me a great deal is on social media, you'll see a video of a young woman and she's like, so let me just show you how to play the system. And this is my deposit of $4,000 a month I got from SNAP. Y'all, she's lying.
Yes. Yes.
She's lying. The average SNAP payout is like $168 a month for a family of 4.
Right. You know what? You can tell me if this is correct or not, because there are people who I've definitely heard talk about how there are people out there who cannot afford to feed their family on SNAP.
Yes.
Like, it doesn't cover the basics.
So SNAP stands for Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. It was never designed to pay for all your groceries, and it does not. It's about anywhere from $3 to $6 a day. So Klein and I just ordered lunch together. It's going to cost us about $15 each for we're getting kava.
Yeah.
We're getting a healthy bowl from kava.
Yeah.
And it's going to cost us about $12 a piece, maybe $15.
Kava, all those like fast casual places, because that is where I have eaten a lot. A
lot of people are moving from restaurants to
in
fast
my
casual.
but even like in my like 20s and like going into my 30s, like that's a easy way for me to stay healthy.
Yeah.
Not to mention I lived in New York for a bit, and that was like
very popular.
Every corner had all 6 of them on the same block, and like that's just so much easier. And it used to be that I would pay like $13 tops, and that used to be like
a lot,
splurging.
Yeah.
And now I went to Sweetgreen the other day and it was $20. And I was just like, okay, so this isn't like,
and I think
I'm running out to get a quick meal anymore. This is like,
and McDonald's meal can be $10, $12, $13, $14 depending on whether you're getting a shake or right. So that $6, those numbers haven't changed. They don't. So get this, SNAP benefits don't increase with inflation. They increase only through approval of the Farm Bill, which happens every 5 years, and we haven't had one for 7 years.
What?
It is a difficult, enormous, cumbersome piece of legislation. It wasn't ready in 22. In 23, we were leading into the election, and it was too distracting to try and pass that piece of legislation. And now it does not look like we're getting one this year. So that means those numbers are frozen. So if Cava is $15, $16 a person and McDonald's is $10 a person, no one is getting fat and happy off of $6 a day.
Right.
It's not paying for anything.
Yeah.
And then also SNAP doesn't cover anything but food. So you can't buy toothpaste, Advil, shampoo. If you're a woman, you can't buy monthly products. You can't buy diapers for your baby. So here's 2 policy changes I would love to. Oh, and you also cannot buy any prepared food.
Right.
Which is a hole in the policy as far as I'm concerned. So a good policy change they made years ago was your SNAP dollars are doubled on produce. Fabulous change in policy.
Wow.
If you have $1 of SNAP benefits, you can buy $2 worth of broccoli. Excellent policy change.
Yes.
I would love to see the policy change to encompass prepared foods. Like, because if you are on SNAP, most of the people I personally know on SNAP are working really, really hard.
Yes.
Probably a job and another part-time job. They've got kids.
Right.
They need to get dinner on the table. And the best thing in the world would be is if they could go to the grocery store and buy the chicken and pasta pre-made.
Yes. Yeah.
Instead, they can only buy the pasta and the chicken and the cheese and the veg, and then they've got to cook it when they get home. So dinner's on the table at 8 p.m. So I just want people to understand how little money SNAP is, but it does help you get to the end of the month.
Right.
It does.
Right. No, I do like the idea of asking Norm if he had $6 to buy food for the day, like how he would do that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've had this conversation. I've definitely had conversations like this with people, but like I'm always so focused on the you're not caring about people side of things, and that's always my like point, that I don't even think about the like you need to have a job in order to get SNAP. Like that's such a
it's so part of our psyche that people who are on SNAP don't work.
Yeah.
That it's hard to convince people it's actually a requirement.
Right.
And it is. And there's a whole bunch of other requirements to SNAP.
Right.
You can't have much of anything in a bank account.
Is there a page?
In some cases, they limit the cost of the car you can own. And you have to check all those boxes. And is there fraud? There is a little bit of fraud, but here's the thing.
3%?
There's massive fraud in healthcare. There's massive fraud in finance. So I am astounded by the people who are focused on the fraud of someone who's barely making any money versus the people who are exercising fraud and making millions of dollars and really living it up. And that exists for sure. I'm willing to cut some slack for the people that are showing up at food pantries.
Yeah, absolutely.
And by the way, if you've never worked at a food pantry, go volunteer at a food pantry before you ever have this discussion again, because you will see a lot of mental health issues, like shocking, where you would ask yourself, I'm not sure how this person functions in society. I want to make sure they have some soup and some cereal.
Right.
And then the families that come in with little kids, where they are so unbelievably excited to see a box of Lucky Charms because there was nothing like that at home. Like it was rice and beans.
Yeah. I was thinking, and I just looked it up, that like at least for me and PA, PA has a page that's like, do I qualify for SNAP? So like pulling that up and being like, look at all of these hoops you have to jump through before you even are able to do that. Okay, so SNAP's going to be a hot topic, of course. But speaking of food, let's talk MAHA.
Okay.
In case anyone has, if Norm has found MAHA and RFK Jr.
Let us start where we agree. our food system is an absolute mess.
Right.
70% of the American diet is processed or ultra-processed food. And the ties of ultra-processed food to all kinds of negative health outcomes are widely documented. I agree with MAHA, and I like to see this movement say, wait a minute, we're not okay with this.
Right.
I do feel so far they have focused on things that are very small potatoes. Mm-hmm. No pun intended, because we're talking about frying French fries in lard again instead of oil. They're still French fries, people, and right. I am the biggest fan of French fries you will ever meet. If they're on the menu, I'm ordering them.
Right.
I love them.
Right.
But no one's ever, I love, this is how my measuring. You go to the doctor, and the doctor's never going to say, well, if you'd eaten 1,000 orders of French fries in lard
yes.
or in oil, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Right.
No, he's going to say, maybe cut back on the French fries
right.
and eat some vegetables.
Yes.
So,
well, it is interesting that or at least most of their points have a lot to do with, well, replace this product with this other product
right.
that I can sell you.
There is a lot of that.
And that's...
But I do think there are some people operating in the space of MAHA who have really good intentions.
Right.
A lot of parents, moms who
yeah.
are seeing what it's doing to their kids.
Right.
We now know there's a tie between anxiety and depression and ultra-processed foods. Definitely a tie to weight gain,
yeah.
which then combined with lifestyle behavior can lead to type 2 diabetes, which is a massive strain on our healthcare.
Yeah.
And you know, we don't talk about enough how painful it is to have these issues.
Right.
We talk about them as they're a cost.
Right.
But anyone listening right now who has been significantly overweight or obese and had health issues related knows it is incredibly unpleasant.
Yeah.
Painful, uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You get put on a lot of medications. The
right.
medications then have side effects.
Right.
We don't talk about that enough.
Right.
So I love the position of the movement is, wouldn't it be great if we were all healthier?
Yes.
But substituting Swedish fish
right.
with red dye
right.
to a slightly grayer version of Swedish fish
with not red dye
yeah. is not the solution.
No.
The solution is Swedish fish should
right.
be a rare treat,
right.
not something that's
right.
part of your diet.
So starting out with Norm by talking about how great it is to get away from processed food and how unhealthy the country is and how we really need to fix that. And then when he brings up the study that I saw today about, nope, not a study. The article on Fox News that I saw today that said that drinking orange juice every day is good for your heart. And then I started reading the article, and it's
someone from the orange juice library got a hold of him.
Well, not only that, it's a study that used 20 people, 20 healthy people, and they drank orange juice every day, and for 2 months. I'm not even kidding. This is in the article. It says, in a small but detailed study, 20 healthy adults drank about 2 cups of 100% orange juice every day for 2 months.
I have so many issues with this study.
Track changes in more than 1,700 genes within participants' immune cells, finding broad shifts in genetic activity tied to blood pressure, fat metabolism, and inflammation. All key factors in cardiovascular health.
So first of all, 20 represents the sample size in your study. That is your N factor.
Yeah.
20 is not a good study unless you are studying a rare genetic disease where you
right.
cannot find more than 20 participants.
Right.
2, there is nothing that no single ingredient outside of a drug that is going to alter your health drastically in 2 months.
Right.
2, orange juice is high in vitamin C. Mm-hmm. We know that vitamin C has very positive health outcomes, mm-hmm. but you could have had a glass of water and an orange, or a glass of water and a vitamin C tablet, and here's the benefit to you.
Yeah.
There is plenty of research that shows that the blood sugar spike of a glass of orange juice is no different than a glass of Coke.
Right.
They are the same.
Yeah.
Well documented. So congratulations, you could have a Coke and a vitamin C tablet and probably see the same health benefits. And if you did it for a long enough period of time, your health would actually decline mm-hmm. because you're having the soda.
Right.
And my husband loves orange juice like nobody's business. He loves a glass of orange juice, but it has no fiber in it. And when you consume that level of sugar, orange juice is very high in sugar, it spikes your blood sugar. Then your body's working overtime to balance that out with producing insulin. And over a long enough period of time, spiking your blood sugar like that all the time is one of the things that leads to type 2 diabetes.
Right.
One of the factors.
Right. Yeah. That's crazy. So like,
So no.
no.
But I asked the question, there is a huge orange juice lobby. There is a lobby for all of your favorite foods, all of your favorite commodity crops. There is a milk lobby. Got milk? There is a beef lobby. Beef, it's what's for dinner. Who do you think pays for all those ads? Let me say this to all of my followers who love red meat, love French fries, love, like, there is a place in your diet for all of those things. But the sad or not hard news, the hard news is your diet needs to shift drastically to whole foods. And then 10% of the time, eat whatever you want.
Right.
And that's also incredibly well documented.
Right.
But the impact on sales of our major food companies and purveyors of those companies that have lobbies, they don't want you to do that. They want you absolutely tied to those food products.
Absolutely.
And they don't care about your health.
I think I would ask where they get these studies from and go and look at the study like next to them.
So I struggle with that because it is complicated actually knowing how to read a study.
No, not this. So I mean more this article. So like this article, like if Norm was sitting there and brought this article up, I would just pull up this article because to me, it's wild how easy it was to
find the source.
To find that they're really not talking about, like I would have thought to find that they're really not talking about anything that groundbreaking, because I would have thought that they misinterpreted a study, but they're not even misinterpreting it. They're just
quoting
giving you the information
and quoting a really bad. Not a. Is it a bad study? It's not a great study.
I'm not in science. I don't know why I just said that. It feels bad to me.
I don't want anyone going full force with studies unless they know how to read them. Because if you don't know, if you didn't have statistics in college and you don't understand what error and p-value is, and you don't understand what in vitro versus in vivo is, or peer-reviewed, or blind or double-blind, or what the n value is, you're just going to get into the weeds really fast. But here's what you can do. If you want to try this, you can Google whatever your question is. So like, does orange juice improve heart health? And then type the words scholarly articles, and you will get scholarly studies. I encourage you to drop down, read the title first, and then drop down into the abstract and read the last few lines of the abstract or the whole abstract. That will tell you how many people were in the study. It will give you, maybe list some confounding factors or what they were looking for, and then drop down to the conclusion at the end. And 99 times out of 100, what it says is, there may be a connection, further research is required. And then when you start coming across a lot of studies where it says, we have found a statistical connection, then you're starting to have something. But most of them will not say that.
I feel like it's the like may and the might. And that's not correlation versus causation.
And that's not about, those aren't bad studies who end that way. They're saying science is built on a body of evidence. It's never built on one study. And so many people are like another study on this would be, now they take 100 people and they rerun the study, and they run it for a year, and then they take 100 people, half of whom have health issues, or half of whom are obese, or half of whom have history of cardiovascular disease, and they keep running the studies until they get a body of evidence and says, oh wow, it looks like vitamin C really was the driver here. And then you can go back and question, well, what was the method of consuming vitamin C? And then you can go back and study, was the juice, you separate, they take a tablet and they take the juice and you compare.
It has to be like there's so much you need to test.
But there is an orange juice lobby, friends. There is.
Let's say that Norm brings up tariffs.
Okay.
That were super complicated.
That foreign countries are paying for, right?
Yes. We're showing them.
Are we all clear on that now, that the importing country pays the tariff?
Jesus.
The importing country, people, pays the tariff.
You know what? I don't even think we need to talk more about this. I think you just say that over and over again to Norm. I think Norm brings up whatever, you just say, we are paying the tariff.
So all of the dollars in the billions and billions of dollars collected on tariffs so far came from three places. It came from, so say I manufacture a machine that has most of the parts from China. When I'm American made, but I import all those parts from China. all the tariffs I paid for those importing those parts are in the Treasury right now. Then a little bit of it was paid by the foreign companies, not the country, but the company who wanted to mark a deal. So like maybe I'm the Chinese company that sells the parts.
Right.
And you were like, I can't afford you any longer. There's a deal. Like, all right, we're going to absorb 10%.
Right.
And you're going to 90.
Because
So some of it came from there, and then the rest of it came from the consumer. So I sell my machine that I built out of Chinese parts, manufactured in the U.S. Maybe that's a speaker, and I sell it to Klein, and she pays $18 instead of $12. That $4 came out of Klein's pocket and is now in the U.S. Treasury.
Right.
Now, here is the shocker, and I don't know where this is going. But this is, and things are moving so fast I can barely keep up.
Yeah.
There is a Supreme Court case right now.
Yeah.
That brings a legitimate argument that Trump never had the right to impose these tariffs. And do you know what will happen if they win?
Something bad?
We have to pay every dollar back. Every dollar.
To who? Back to who?
Unclear.
Yeah, how does that work?
I don't know. But it will mean that every single dollar collected,
God.
Yes.
But if it goes back to the companies, they're not going to give that back to us.
No, they are not. No, they're not. You're done. You're out of the equation.
Yeah, fully.
You are out of the.
No,
it will have to go back. It will have to go back to the company who paid the import tariff,
right,
before distribution. Sure, they will.
They'll be like, "Cool, we got to raise our prices, and now we got more
sure
money."
They will. Absolutely.
So they actually would make the import tariff. They would make that money.
Yes, that is one. That is one theory on
That's
how that
what
would
could
work.
potentially happen.
Yes. If this gets reversed, we are like the deficit will be incredible. But I don't know how the Supreme Court's going to rule. That remains to be seen. But I do know the case is a legitimate case.
Okay, great. Cool. Upside, they didn't hear the gay marriage case. Just to add a little positivity to the day. You can come in.
All right,
I was gonna.
So this is my better half bringing us lunch here. Thank you, love.
Oh my God.
Yum.
Keto.
Oh, this is so exciting.
Thanks. Yum.
All right, this episode is brought to you by Kava, the healthiest way to get your...
No, you need a sponsorship for that. This is a nondescript bowl.
Oh my God, this looks so good.
That Scout really wants some of. Okay, it's like we're at Thanksgiving dinner.
I do have Brussels sprouts in here.
There you go. So the only other thing with tariffs that I do want you to talk to me about, because I think that this is a big kind of like, you have no idea about this for most people, is the whole Canada relationship thing. Because when you said that, you said it on one of the podcast episodes about that, like, if Canada decides to not sell us certain things, we're all screwed. Potassium, that's what it was. So, like, can you give me the, like, Cliff Notes version of that so that I can tell Norm at dinner?
The super short version of it is the 3 macronutrients for growing all food is nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus. We can make our own nitrogen. We do not, but we could.
Okay.
We could probably do phosphorus. We cannot do potassium. We do not have the reserves at all.
Okay.
And the reserves are mostly Russia, Belarus, and
What
Canada.
does that mean, the reserves?
It's mined.
Oh.
And so we do have a reserve in, I think it's Michigan, but it's years away from being online. And when it is online, it will only provide about 9% of what we need.
Got it.
If Canada aligned with Russia and decided to stop selling us potassium, our yields would drop within a year, and long term we would not be able to feed ourselves.
Whoa.
So that's the short version.
Yeah.
And then the other question is, why can't we grow everything here? And that is a long answer, but so I will be brief. Okay. Having a farm, let's say you have a farm that grows corn and soy, you have specific equipment, you have debt to that equipment, you have a specific expertise. Every single crop has a deep level of expertise to grow it. You have a specific soil in that area. Is it clay? Is it sand? Limits what you can grow there. Your pH of your soil is very hard to change. Limits what you can grow there. Is it irrigated? How much rainfall? Limits what you can grow there. And on and on. I probably could give you a list of 10 solid reasons why you can't just switch.
Right.
You can't just grow, you know what? We import so many tomatoes from Mexico. Let's start growing all our tomatoes here.
Right.
Over the course of 5 years, with government intervention and dollars flowing in to make that happen possible.
Yeah.
But to ask a farmer to do it unilaterally, it's not going to happen.
Right.
And then let's go back to beef. We could probably finish on beef here a little bit. 40% of everything we grow gives to feed animals. Chickens, pigs, and beef. 40% of everything we grow in the United States is animal feed because we eat so much animal protein. So we would have to decrease our consumption of animal meat to translate those acres, some of those acres, to growing vegetables.
Right.
And Americans do not show any sign of wanting to decline.
Yeah.
And then 10% of everything we grow, I think, goes to, it's larger than that, ethanol. So, yes. So ethanol, and you see ethanol at the gas station, that's corn. It comes from corn.
Right.
We thought that was going to free us. Years and years ago, we thought we're just going to grow corn, make all our own fuel. We will not be reliant on the Middle East or gas prices. It turns out we don't have enough space to grow that much oil. And two, ethanol has a tiny bit of moisture to it that could wreck a gas tank. That's why it is mixed to keep that level of moisture low.
I could listen to you talk for
That
hours.
is very
I
sweet.
hate saying that. Everyone always, because you know why? People have co-opted that and say that all the time about people, and it's not true.
I also hate the way they praise the guests.
Yes.
I hate it.
They're like, we're going to sit here and talk forever. And you're sitting
you
there
are
like,
just the most amazing, and I'm like, I don't want to hear that every single time you start.
But what I am amazed by is how much actual knowledge and facts and statistics that you can throw out. And I feel like that always makes the argument that much stronger. But we are not experts. The people who are talking to Uncle Norm are not always experts on the topic that you're talking about.
Right.
So how do you... Two things. Number one, how do you know all of those facts? Like, how do you remember the specific numbers? And if we don't do that, how do we have these conversations?
How I know all that stuff is I am a professor and I lecture on it every week. And I guest lecture and I write a great deal as well. And I think if you did that about any one subject every single week, you would remember all this too. Now, there is a lot of stuff I can't remember. And that drives me crazy. But I think the human brain can only hold so much stuff. But for reasons I cannot explain to you, I am passionate about this. I have been passionate about food as long as I can remember. I want people to have access to food, and I want people to eat healthy. I think they feel better. I think life works better. And so that's where my passion comes from. And then the rest of it is the passion of reading about it. So when I don't understand something, I go look it up. And this is not to compliment myself, but I read on a very high level.
Yeah.
That's by training.
Yeah.
Anyone's capable of that, but you have to force yourself to read really complex things. And when then you get to the point where you don't understand that acronym or that line, you have to go look that up.
Right.
And then add that to your understanding.
Right.
And
My life just flashed before my eyes.
are you okay? I'm sorry.
Scout!
All right, let's go back because Scout lost his mind when my friend walked in the door. You can read on a high level too.
Yes.
You just have to make yourself do it. Find something that interests you, and then don't just read the easy version. It is easy to read an article on Fox. They're written on the 4th grade level. It is easy to read an article on MSNBC. They are written on a 4th grade level because that is the average reading level of the United States American.
Yeah, I, as a journalism student, was told to be able to put everything into... We were told 7th grade, but this was like 10 years ago. So I think it's gone down.
Yeah. And it depends on who your audience is, right?
Totally.
But reading international news, reading the studies that the articles are based on, I mean, if you want to.
Yeah.
And if not, find someone that you trust.
Right.
I try and be trustworthy, and I also try to admit all the time that I don't know everything and that I make mistakes, and hopefully that makes me a more valuable resource.
I was going to say, I feel like that's a good tell is if someone's getting online and saying, I have all the answers.
No.
Do not trust that person.
None of us. And the data changes.
Yes.
I'll give it a good example. I talk about greenhouse gases and carbon dioxide and methane all the time. Yeah. If you look up how many more times methane is holds heat, traps heat compared to carbon dioxide, You will see every number under the sun. So if someone looks in you in the eye and says, methane is 14 times more potent than carbon dioxide, and they put their foot down, no, you're going to find so many data points.
Litmus test.
So find people that give you, this is the range in the literature.
Right.
And this is what that means to interpret it. So, I don't know, align yourself with calm, smart people.
Right.
And you will learn more.
Speaking of calm, smart, especially smart people, when Uncle Norm, when you say all this to Uncle Norm, and then Uncle Norm says, that's not true, and you're talking about a fact from a scientific study, or, I know it's technically controversial, which is kind of wild, climate change, and you say, you brought up the cycles over time and the fact that the climate is different from weather. If he just says that's not true, how it's like putting up a brick wall. How do you get past that brick wall or handle it?
So there's certainly lots of rational arguments you could make, like ask Uncle Norm something about his own life that's true, and then say, well, I don't believe that.
Uncle Norm doesn't deal in rationality.
Sure, but he's also afraid.
True.
Because if you're correct, that's going to cost him something. That's what a lot of people feel. I'm going to have to stop driving my gas-powered hot rod, which I love, and that's a big sacrifice if you're right.
Yeah.
So keep in mind that you are asking people to eat differently, live differently, spend their money differently, and that's not an easy thing to do, and no one wants to do it.
Right.
And then I would also say, ask Uncle Norm something that he believes is proven to be true, like my transmission is an important part of my car engine. And you could say, well, that's not true. Most cars don't even have a transmission. And watch him get very upset because cars actually do, well, not electric cars, but gas-powered engines have a transmission, right? And it's just true because it's just true. Show him what it feels like to have something that we all know to be true, have someone flagrantly doubt it right in their face in a ridiculous way.
Right.
Like, I'm trying to think of another example, like your refrigerator only needs to be 65 degrees. Like, no, it has to be 45. Go look at the temperature right now. No, that's not true.
Right.
And get them frustrated over you not believing something that we all know is true, just so they can touch base with how that feels.
Right.
To have a solid fact questioned by someone who does not want to go any further. And then see if they can't catch the connection.
Yeah.
And then last but not least, I'll share this quote from Maya Angelou. It is attributed to her, but I think it's been said by other people in many ways. Oh, people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel.
Yes.
So, as a good human, make sure you're treating Uncle Norm with kindness and respect, that you're not making him feel stupid, that you're not sounding condescending and more educated and more well-read, and if he was just smarter. Because really, you've accomplished double nothing.
Right.
You have not convinced him of anything that we believe is true and critical, and you've made him feel bad. Yeah. And that doesn't make you a good human. You're going to lose some of these battles over facts. Win the important battle, because, guys, this is not going away. Right. Climate change is going to speed up, get more serious. And would you rather have Uncle Norm hating you because of your condescension, or loving you because he had a really nice Thanksgiving dinner and uses you as a resource down the road when his food source or whatever is actually threatened?
Yeah.
That would be my position.
Yeah. Well,
sometimes it's easier said than done.
I was gonna say. Also, use Toni as a resource. That's what I think when you're saying about trusted people, you initially come to mind because I know you, and you're...
Well, you get to see how I live my life when I'm not on camera.
That's such a good point. And
I'm
it's
a
super great.
Bitch off camera.
No. Toni, I genuinely don't think you could be a bitch if you tried. If, your life depended on it, I think it would just be no.
Let's make this an invitation. If you are listening to this and you get to the end and you're like, I need to know how to talk about this.
Yes.
Message us.
Yeah.
Email me. It's tonifarmersgarden@gmail.com. You can message me on Instagram through the app itself and say, I am struggling to make a sound argument around this. And if there's a sound argument to be made, that may become a reel because if you have that question, a lot of other people probably have that question. So a big thank you to everyone who's been listening to the podcast. We have had so much fun putting this together for you. Hopefully you've learned a lot. It's been a lot of fun, but it's been a lot of work. And Klein and I are going to take just a little break between now and the new year, give you a chance to go back and maybe catch episodes that you missed, because there's a lot of really good information in there. And I will steer you especially to the first two with Maria Rodale, because understanding the importance of regenerative agriculture is the basis for everything we're going to talk about going forward. This is how we solve this food crisis problem. So I wish you a wonderful, healthy, happy end of the year, holidays with loved ones, and we will see you in 2026.